After we left Tennessee, we actually made a beeline due east towards South Carolina. Our first stop was actually Brook House Campground, which is kind of a backcountry horse camp that doesn't have any facilities. It does have a couple pit toilets, and this was to get us in the kind of close proximity to meet up with Will, Jamie, Molly, and Anna later on in the trip. At Gavin and Jennifer's house. Brook House ended up being one of our favorite places in South Carolina. Despite not having any facilities and being out in the middle of nowhere, it just really was a gorgeous place, and honestly a place that we would definitely go back and spend some quality time. We are sad to leave it. Hello!
Hi!
So, taking a walk, and so if we're out of breath, that's why. We are on day 3 at Brook House Campground in South Carolina. We are in our first foray of actually boondocking. So far it's been really nice, actually.
First intentional foray into it.
Yes, this is true.
We don't have the option to have any other resources.
Yeah. And I'm gonna stop for a second and just kind of show you. We're in kind of a mixed forest, but it's really pretty. Ella enjoys it. There's 2 other campers in our campground with us. The first night we were here, there was...
maybe 4 or 5?
Yeah, I think so. So it's not been bad. Tonight it's supposed to get cold, unfortunately. It's about like 55 right now. It's supposed to get down into the 30s, and then tomorrow night is the cold night. It's supposed to get into the 20s, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know where like South Carolina decided that was okay. But
yeah, I don't know. But it's a cute little area. We went and filled up with water at the KOA, which is just down the street, which was not bad at all. So we have full tanks of water, and so far it's been pretty good.
we're testing out our batteries under constant load.
Yeah, Drew works today.
Well.
So yeah, he didn't pull out Starlink today. He's just been using the cellular, but haven't really seen much wildlife. Might be because this is mainly a horse camp, which is primarily why we're walking on the road. It's because the trails are pretty mucked up because of the rain recently. But that's our check-in for tonight. South Carolina is in full bloom despite the cold weather. More later. It's our last afternoon at Brook House Campground. And we're going for an afternoon walk. We leave here and we head to Dreher Island. And we'll be there for a couple nights before we meet up with Will, Jamie, Molly, and Anna for a couple nights at Jamie's cousins. So Ella has enjoyed this place. Well, we all have. But this is the trail that's right outside of our campsite, so it's quite pretty. It's a bit muddy. It's a multi-use trail. I don't know exactly how long of a trail it is. It's the Palmetto Trail. but this section of it is 9 miles, I think, from the campground to the road. Come on. This has been one of our favorite places so far to camp. I think it's because it reminds us so much of backpacking. It's very similar to some of the places we've stayed in the past. I don't know what kind of flowers these are, but they're really pretty. I don't know if you can see them. They're vines that grow up the trees, but they're everywhere. Quite pretty. And they smell, they're very fragrant, but it's like a nondescript sweet. So, but we're testing out using an Amazon box tonight. So we had a new solar controller shipped and we're picking it up on our way to the next campground. So that should be fun. Well, I'll leave you. Not a bad welcome. Dreyer Island was surprisingly another place we didn't want to leave. We packed up midweek after work and headed over to the island, which is actually a campground found on a series of islands in the middle of a lake. To access, you have to drive across several bridges. We stayed on the furthest island out onto the lake. On our way there, we stopped in a small town and picked up a new charge controller for our solar, which is a big story in itself. This is the second time we have purchased this rather expensive product. The first time, someone had returned something that was used and similar, but in the box of what we had tried to purchase. Imagine my surprise and frustration when in Alabama finding the error. In case you are wondering, Amazon did not accept our review of the seller. Alas, we finally picked up a truly new controller, and off we were to the island. While on the island, we set up in the dark, something we try to avoid, especially in this type of site. Downhill, sharp turn to enter, and if you mess up, your home is in the lake. It's a good thing Drew is getting the hang of backing up shell, and I'm doing okay with the navigation. Our site was set on a cove, so we were able to break out the paddleboard, and even Ella jumped on a few times. One of these days, I might even get her to stay on the board. On Friday morning, we packed up and actually moved to a trailhead in the campground. And this was kind of for two parts, so that Drew could work before we headed over for a weekend with Jamie's family. And also so that we could kill a little bit of time. So Will, Jamie, Molly, and Anna were actually in Charleston for a couple days over their spring break, and we were all going to Pelion to meet up at Jamie's cousin's farm for the weekend. So first off, a big thank you to Gavin and Jennifer for letting us boondock on their farm. It was a great experience. We had some amazing meals and got to have some fun with getting to know them, and Ella actually got to experience horses for the first time. So the weekend we had a blast. Ella got to see her cousins and Molly, and so every lab that Ella sees she thinks is actually the cousins. It's kind of funny. After we wrapped up kind of staying in the campground, we headed to Pelion. But before we left Gavin and Jennifer's farm, we did ask the question about what qualifies you as living or have lived somewhere. General consensus is that because we have our home with us, we're towing it behind us, we've lived in that place. I think Gavin said, "You've lived on our farm," because we had our camper with us. And you know, that is actually kind of something that Drew and I've talked about, is it feels like we've lived in a lot of these places. We know that people think we are crazy, and that's okay. We knew that that was going to be the general consensus when we made this leap. Life is meant to be lived, as it has a way of disappearing in the blink of an eye. And we just want to make sure we experience it a little bit before it disappears.